And we are live. How's it going, guys? Thanks for joining us today. We're here with Zorph and Cifer from Bulls on the Block, and we're going to be jumping into their new roadmap, everything about the evolved bulls. And if you guys have any questions, make sure you drop those in the comments, like it up, share it around, and we'll get started. So, Zorph, Cifer, can you guys fill us in on Bulls on the Block and like what's been happening?
Yeah, how you doing, Hollywood? I like your name, Hollywood, because it relates to what we're doing here. But yeah, look, as far as Bulls on the Block goes, we launched at the end of June. So we've been around for about 3 months, and the project was launched at a 0.08 ETH mint price, and it sold out in around about 30 minutes. And I think that was kind of to do with the quality of the art. Okay. The way that the project came about was the three founders, which is Bobo, Damp, and Rui. So Rui's the artist, and the two devs are Bobo and Damp. They met in the Bored Ape Discord, of all places. And they kind of just came together, and they were like, all right, well, what can we do as a new project together? And they came up with the idea of introducing bulls. Obviously, you've got your bulls and your bears dichotomy. And they were like, all right, we can do something cool with that. And Rui was like, all right, I can actually draw these characters and they're going to look good. So anyway, so we launched, sold out really quickly. And then, from that point, basically there was like a few issues around gas and whatnot, as you get with some of these projects. And so the guys kind of gave like a free token to all those people that got gassed out and whatnot. And then from there, we had the bears that launched. So Bears on the Block, which is like a companion token to Bulls on the Block. And what we'd seen from the feedback from the community was that basically the Bulls on the Block, the actual PFP tokens, they seem to be like a little bit busy. So people weren't actually using them as their PFP, a profile pic for those that don't know. And so what we came up with was to introduce, or the guys, the devs and Rui, was basically to introduce a companion, which was a lot cleaner. And they were the bears. So you've got the bulls and the bears there. And so we introduced them. There was 10,000 pieces of each collection. Everybody that held a bull was able to mint a bear. Okay, so we're trying to look after the community there. And then from that point, we've kind of moved forward, and we have a pretty strong community. We have there's about 3,300 bulls holders at the moment, amongst 10,000 tokens, and about 3,000 bear holders. So we've got a pretty strong community. And although it's not like the biggest community in the space, everybody that holds bulls and bears, they're very passionate about what they hold, and they're always coming up with ideas of how we can kind of move forward. As a community. That. Yeah. I mean, you've been in Discord. Like, what have you seen from within the Discord?
Just everyone's excited for 2.0 and like everything that you're bringing, the evolved bulls. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of passion. And I think what you've got right now is a really strong community that are really going to help you guys out with the evolved bulls, which it's exciting to see. But
yeah, for sure. And so as we move through, we kind of got to a point where there was like a hiccup along the way, and a few things came to light, which if you jump into the Discord, people can see for themselves. But things kind of came to a head, and that's probably to be expected with a lot of these projects where, it's a new scene. We're trying to create something new here. It's a new space, and people will kind of possibly find out, look, they've got the best intentions, but then they'll find out that maybe their strength doesn't lie in taking the project forward. And we kind of came to that point, where things came to a head, and we got on a call in the Discord as community members when things came to a head, and we said, all right, well, what are we going to do here? And so there was myself and Zorph, and he can tell you more about that, where we just kind of started chatting and we got the community involved. And we said, all right, well, we're not going to let this project die, or like, because of all the FUD that was going on around it. We're like, well, we don't need to let it die. Let's come together and we'll work out a plan to move forward. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what got us together, and we started brainstorming, what can we do to make this one of the best projects in the space? Because we do have such great artwork. We've got like one of the best artists in the space. And we do have a strong community, which are very loyal to what we're doing here. And they're well invested in the project. We're like, all right, this is what we're going to do. Let's put our heads together. We've got a lot of knowledge here within the space, and Zorph will tell you himself, his background. He's been in Silicon Valley for a few years and has 25 years of dev experience. So he came on board and he's like, all right, let's do this. And so it's really the first kind of project which is really community driven. And we've been, in that time, we've been trying to sort out putting together a team, what initiatives and what utility we can provide, and how we can kind of leverage the community in order to move forward. And so that's where we're at now. And we've got a few, like, we're putting forward a claim to, how do I say this? Like, we're trying to put forward a legal entity. In order so that everybody can feel safe to invest in or be part of our community.
And that's obviously quite a big process as well, isn't it? I would assume.
Yeah. So look, what we've done is we've invested from our part. We've tried to get a lawyer and a CPA on board as part of the team, and that gives everyone a little bit of a sense of confidence, and they'll feel comfortable moving forward, investing in our project, and we are moving the ownership of the project from an entity in Portugal over across to we're trying to set up a Delaware LLC at the moment, and then we're kind of investigating whether we go to Zug, Switzerland, the crypto valley, to establish the ownership of the business and the DAO and whatnot. So there's a few things that we need to sort out, but the wheels are moving, and we're not far away. So and that kind of, so from that point, that leads us on to basically the evolved bulls. So the evolved bulls are basically, like I mentioned before, we had feedback coming from the community that the original bulls, or the OG bulls, were a little bit busy. So we've tried to adjust the art and make them cleaner and cooler, and something that people will want to use as an avatar. So and you can see there. So this one that you've got featured on the screen there, that's the Phoenix bull. And Zorph, why don't you tell Hollywood about the idea behind the Phoenix bull?
So just to kind of continue on the story that he's been telling, maybe add a kind of a little bit my perspective on it, a little bit or whatever, just a little more history around it. I mean,
please do.
So this thing, really truly, this whole project, and again, and I'm a big entrepreneur. I've been doing entrepreneurship and stuff for years, and it is not easy. So it's no surprise when you see a project that kind of hits some early success and starts growing quickly, especially that involves some younger co-founders, because Bobo, Damp, and Rui, Bobo and Damp are pretty young guys and young entrepreneurs. They're also really good blockchain developers, and the thing just kind of took off, and a lot of conflict and stuff developed between the three of them. A little into it, not a little. Who knows? They know better than anybody. But whatever the case, we got past it. I mean, the community kind of came together. We, instead of sort of demonizing them and trying to throw them out of the car and take control or whatever, instead there was a really intense effort to heal the wounds between them and sort of resolve the differences and keep them on board and just sort of let them know that we had their back and we would help them, and there's other talent in the community, including all kinds of people, lawyers, CPAs, engineers, just lots of people. Obviously yourself, and just talented people with lots of different skill sets. And these are three guys that were, I think just trying to carry a heavy load without an organized team behind them for a while. And it just, there's a combination of other stuff going on between them, but definitely some of the pressures of that, just being overwhelmed. And so we just worked hard to help them, rebond and kind of, start feeling it again, and
that's it. I suppose it's how you push through those troubles as well, right? Like that shows your community strength, which to me is that's a big thing. That's a big selling point. It made me feel quite bullish on the project, and I could see that's probably where the Phoenix came from, right? The Phoenix ball. Yeah,
so the Phoenix was, there was a period there where, I'm sure, the three main co-founders, Boba Dent and Rui, thought that it was over and somehow this thing. But the one thing about it is, again, anybody who's been in the space long enough has seen projects rug. And a lot of times it's just the people, disappear with the money and who knows who they were. But that's not what happened here, which is interesting. It's interesting that the project has been put to the test and the co-founders showed their honesty. They truly showed their honesty to me. And I'm an investor. In that they had about 100 ETH, still have about 100 ETH laying in the community wallet. And that was one of the main purposes of creating this collection, was to be one of the first projects to launch with sort of the notion of a community wallet as a really top level concern. We want the community to have its own wallet and its own assets that basically benefit the community itself. And so they launched with that whole goal in mind. So there's, and so, it would have been easy for a couple of shady founders to have a breakup and vanish with the money. But, even in the midst of all of it, they remain committed to essentially turning over the wallet to the community. It's your money, and then, of course, after we all kind of started teaming up and talking in one-on-ones and multiple group chats and so on, and they kind of came back around, and they're, I do believe they're feeling the energy again. It's just took a little bit of, humans go through relationship conflict, especially in marriage or in business partnerships.
That's it.
Yeah, and that's what's led us to the Phoenix ball. It's like the symbol of the rising. We came down to the bottom where we're almost about to die. Oh, well, you're never about to die, but you know what I mean. And then we've kind of had that rebirth as the Phoenix does. So, and that's why for us the Phoenix is the centerpiece of our Evolved Bulls collection. And that will be a one-of-one piece, and we'll try and work out what the best way forward is as far as the Phoenix piece goes.
Really went out into I guess I don't know if it's jungle or forest or what it is, and took his family out there, and he apparently took his pad out there, whatever, and was drawn, and that's where he kind of, in the midst of all this, he went out into the sort of the wild and drew this thing out there. And like I said in another video I did, he told me on the phone that this one came from his heart, which they all do. But it's an interesting piece. It's going to be a one-of-one. So in this new Evolved Bull collection, there'll only be one Phoenix. There is only one Phoenix, and the logistics around how that's going to be dropped are not clear yet. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, I've got to say, Ruiz, is that right?
Rui. Yeah, Rui. Rui Duarte.
Unreal. There's a few Evolved Bulls at the bottom here, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you can scroll through our website, bullsontheblock.com, and you can see. So even if you scroll up to the top Hollywood, and let's start up at the top, and we can have a look. So we started here. These are the original bulls. So yeah, you look at that. That's got a bit of character to it, and we actually got to the point where we're like, should we burn the original bulls, or should we kind of do something else with them so that we can actually preserve this piece of history, so that we can come back to it? Because we don't know where the scene's going to be in a year's time, let alone 10 years time. So we didn't really want to burn the original bulls because that is going to be a piece of history. So yeah, look, what we decided to do is actually vault them. So you lock them away for 365 days, and basically you'll have your original bull, like what we can see on the screen there, and you'll get a more 3D or like evolved version of that art to use as your PFP while you lock away those original ones. So yeah, keep scrolling through, and these are the bears here, which was the companion that we touched on earlier, and then.
Just quickly, while we are here, for anybody that might be considering buying into the bulls on the block, do you want to let them know about getting the same IDs for the bulls and the bears?
Yeah, so look, as far as the so when we released the bears, they were a random mint where people would just pay gas, and for every OG bull that they owned, they'd get a bear, and the bear would turn out random. As far as the matching ID goes, it's just that whatever bull you used, OG bull you used to mint a bear, it'd have the same ID number. And then we thought, well, how can we introduce you some utility for holding, the two together? And so we've been working with Sloppy Pencil, who is the lead animator from Rick and Morty, and he's come up with an animation of our bulls and bears together. And depending on how many of those matching IDs you hold, basically you'll get an animation which varies from 3 seconds all the way out to 12 seconds, where you'll get like the full animated piece as an NFT, and that will hold its own value moving forward. So that was the idea behind the matching IDs.
Awesome. I'm excited for that airdrop. I think
it should be good. Like, the community's definitely excited about it, so it should be interesting to see what Sloppy Pencil comes up with. And like I have seen like a preview. I haven't seen the full 12-second version, but the part that I have seen, it's like a proper animation, so it should be good.
Awesome.
And then look, we're moving through, and like it says there, that's the defining moment where you can see a bit of conflict happening, where everybody's jumping in and kind of getting onto each other, and that's just another quality that Rui, our artist, has, that he can create these comics which can depict what's been happening within the community, and he'll just put them into a comic form and make it, lovable and hilarious for everybody. So yeah, there's we are doing a comic book drop, and there's a few different tiers of the comic book, which will be coming soon. The last snapshot just happened for people that own a certain number of bulls, and they'll be receiving the comics. So yeah, it should be interesting to see what he comes up with. And the latest news with that is he's doing an extra one where he's going to feature the new team in it. So that'll be interesting to see what he comes up with.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, I did actually.
So you'll be featured in that, mate. No doubt, front and center.
That's pretty smart.
I was actually wondering, with the comics, are you using bulls from the 10,000 supply, or are they different again?
As far as the bulls go in this first, there's a bit of alpha there, but this first series of comics, it'll just be, I think they're just random. There might be a few characters in there which are, the actual NFTs, but as we move forward, creating like a comic series is definitely on our list of things to do. And we'll see. We have some talks going on in the background about what we can do with the original bulls, and because the original bulls are quite endearing and they've got that cartoony feel, they're almost like a Disney quality sort of feel. We want to be able to utilize them in a way moving forward, whether that's through comic books or, and then leading on to possibly animation at some point. That's what our OG balls will be used for. And then the people that own the OG bulls, if they're featured in, say, a comic book or something, then there's a possibility for some kind of royalties because they do own the IP. So that's something that we're talking about behind the scenes as well. So
cool. Does the community sort of know about this, or is this sort of new news that's getting out here?
That's probably a little bit of number one and a little bit of number two. So
yeah,
cool. we couldn't come on here and not give you a little bit of alpha, but there are things that we're talking about in the background, and obviously nothing's confirmed, but we are working on some things. So
awesome. Well, you heard it here first, guys. It's exciting. So I think I did some reading in the Discord chat, and there was some discussion about attributes being removed and stuff. And I, for one, think that's pretty exciting. Like, I'm super pumped to see what my bull turns out like after the evolution. What's that looking like? Is there a lot that's being taken out? Should we expect things to be replaced, or is it just going to be taken out?
Yeah, so a lot of the species-specific traits will be taken out because it was impacting on rarity values, okay? And there are a bunch of new traits that are coming in, and they've gone through a process where the founders have reviewed all of the traits, and they will be implemented in the evolved bulls. So, like, not all traits will be staying, and there's a lot of, again, to kind of go back to the point that I made about the feedback being that the PFPs were quite busy. So, things like, possibly like a flower chain or something, which just creates a lot of, stuff going on visually. Those sorts of things may be removed and replaced with something else, or just completely removed. So although a lot of traits will be removed and possibly replaced, that's not to say that the owner of the original NFT, they're still going to own that original NFT, so it's still going to be there. You will get a new version of it. So you will see that rarity rankings may be affected. Like, we're doing the best we can, but we really wanted to clean up the whole collection, and Bobo and Damper are working hard on that, and they're reviewing thousands of generative pieces daily in order to make them look the best that they basically can. So
yeah, awesome. Yeah, I can
so
imagine.
look, you may have a bull that looks a certain way at the moment, and majority will end up looking the same but just evolved. Mm-hmm. In this 3D type of version, like that, the Phoenix there, but there will be some that will change the appearance. So it'll be interesting to see how it comes out.
And Zorph, I think I saw you speaking the other day about a potential mutation or something like that in there. Can you maybe tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, the whole idea here with these evolved bulls is, so my whole concept, which they had already come up. I mean, Rui and the whole naming and everything around evolved bulls was already there before I kind of got involved in this, and I just tried to add some interesting twist to it. And but yeah, so during this event, whenever you vault your OG bull and you essentially you're evolving your OG bull, which it goes into a vault and you get your evolved version back. There's essentially a 0.5 percentage point, which is like a 0.5% chance that your bull can mutate into a gold bull. And that's one of the biggest sort of, mutations that will happen. I mean, as Cifer said, I mean, there's a whole lot of other little things that'll be happening that you could think of as mutations in terms of certain traits being removed and so on. But there's even something more interesting being added there, which we're probably not going to talk about that right this minute. But Rui threw another nice little twist in there as well, so it's another kind of. But the gold mutation is the big one, and so about 50 out of the entire 10,000 collection will turn into gold, which will be the most rare, and then of course under that lava. And so obviously at that mutation, along with some of the other changes that Cifer talked about, will affect rarity. But there's a lot of utilities attached to this evolved bull, including staking, and just a lot of other things that I think just including the artwork and everything. It's it's a much improved version of the OG bulls, and the OG bulls still, as Cifer said, have their place in the future of the bulls on the block, but a little bit different than where things are going with the evolved bulls.
Yeah, for sure. And I saw or I was reading something about the bull token. Can you guys tell us about that? Is that to do with the OG bulls, or is that to do with the evolved bulls, or is it a bit of both?
The evolved bulls. So the evolved bulls are essentially the item, the NFT, the collection that's going to essentially have all the utility associated with it as we're moving in, into this new roadmap. And so we have this, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter or in Discord, but we posted up some screenshots of the bullpen, which is a new sort of members only area of the website that will go live on the 15th. And that's where you'll be able to surf around and kind of browse your portfolio of bulls on the block or bears on the block or evolved bulls on the block NFTs. And if you evolve any of your OGs, you'll be able to see them there locked in a vault. And also, your evolves that you have in your portfolio, you can stake them there. And if you stake them, you'll earn bull tokens. And so we're actually doing an airdrop of 12,000 tokens per bull, per evolved bull. And it's an airdrop once this bull token launches, and some of that's described in Discord. And then beyond that, you can sort of earn additional yield by staking your evolved bull in the bullpen, the web app. And then the bull token will have several uses in the bulls on the block sort of ecosystem, especially in the bullpen app. And we talk about those in a light paper. If you go join the Discord and look in the announcements, anybody who's interested, there's a light paper there that talks about a lot of the utilities that the bull token will have.
Yeah, and as far as the another utility that the bull token may have in the future is as we enter the metaverse, which will happen at some point, that we may use that as our currency within the metaverse, depending on what happens there. So, yeah, it should be interesting. Like what we'll do is obviously the bull token will be a big part of what we're doing, and we'll try and bring as much utility to that as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, should be interesting.
Awesome. So this obviously goes over the staking it for 365 days. Is that right?
No, that's vaulting it. And so that's
Okay.
what some people confuse the vaulting with the staking. So
Right.
whenever you evolve your OG from the OG just original here. So if you'll see in those bullpen screenshots, you have like tabs that say original or evolved, and you can look at your two different types of bulls there. But whenever you evolve that original bull into an evolved bull, the original one actually gets locked in a smart contract, and then you get the evolved version back. And as long as you hold on to that for 1 year, you can claim you'll be able to claim this original bull back. If you sell that evolved bull in that time period, then whoever gets that evolved bull will be able to claim that original bull back.
Okay.
And so that whole process of locking your original bull in a smart contract for 1 year in order to get that evolved bull is called vaulting. And the original plan was to burn those OG bulls, and we kind of all got talking, and we're like, let's not destroy history here. And so instead, it would just be better to vault it for a year and then give it back to the person, and it just kind of that helps eliminate flooding the market with a bunch of NFTs and just it's still such a small market. You got to kind of wait for it to grow before you but yeah, that's a little bit around that, I guess.
So for anybody that's looking to stake their bull, does this mean their OG bull, that is, does that mean it's going to leave their OpenSea wallet? Where does it go? Do you see it in the bullpen?
Yeah. So staking, as well as the vaulting. So like if they want to come, and you don't have to use the word vaulting, if they're going to come evolve their original bull into an evolved bull, then it will be removed from their wallet, and it will actually go into a smart contract wallet. And of course, you'd be able to go to OpenSea and look in that smart contract wallet and see the assets that are in. But whatever the case, it's going to live in a vault for 365 days, and then it'll be released back to whoever the current token holder is for that matching token ID. And and then the staking is different, so there'll be different staking periods. And so once you get your evolved bull, that of course that immediately entitles you to a 12-month airdrop of 1 tokens per month, 1,000 per month for 12 months. And then it also allows you, if you want to, to stake it to earn additional bull tokens. And there's several different time periods you can stake it for, shorter term or longer term. And how long you lock it up will determine how much, how many tokens you earn. And also the tokens that you earn are, essentially weighted by rarity. So you'll earn more tokens for more rare ones, and less tokens for less rare.
Cool. And have you guys considered like multipliers for anybody who has, say, 2 or 3 bulls? They get a little bit more than the 12,000 tokens.
You hit me up with that one on the phone today. That's a good.
Yeah, we've just been talking about that sort of thing, and again, we can't say everything, but yeah, there may be multipliers for people who lock up a certain number of bulls, OG bulls in the vault, in order to possibly create, how do I put this, a possibly elite collection at some point. We're in discussions, we're talking about it. So yeah, look, we're trying to work out the best way forward, and we'll try and give benefit to those people who have invested, or at least they own a certain number of bulls, and then when they vault them, because we want incentive to vault the OG bulls and evolve. So it's like, how do we go about creating incentive there, and what can we do in terms of creating like an elite collection at some point? But those are still in talks. We're still in talks with those things. So yeah, we're definitely thinking about it.
Fantastic. Very exciting. There's lots happening. There's
a lot happening with what we're doing, and yeah, so it's good because people might value different things from the outside community, and they're like, well, I value the art, or they might be like, well, I value the tokenomics, or I want passive income, and so what we're trying to do is work out a way to suit a number of different needs potentially. Yeah. So you've got the original bulls up there. So those are the OG bulls, and you've got just a Tux robot, zombie, alien. Then you've got your lava. So the lava is kind of like the centerpiece of our collection. It was something new that Rui came up with, and it's actually been copied into a number of other collections.
Okay.
And then if you have a look at the evolved bulls, so these are kind of what you can expect when you decide to evolve your bull. If you just take that lava, for example, down in the middle bottom, that's what you'll expect moving forward, and that's probably something that it's a little bit meaner, it's a little bit cleaner. It's just something that we think that people are going to want to put on display, especially once we bring this utility, and people will know that they're in one of the top projects. Then they're going to want to be displaying that, and then on the bottom right there, you've got your gold bull, and that will take precedence as basically the centerpiece of our evolved bulls collection. So out of the 10,000 bulls that eventually get evolved, there will be, where like as Zorph kind of touched on earlier, there will be around about 50 gold bulls, and if you're lucky enough to evolve one, well, good luck to you. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the market goes when everyone starts staking their bulls and the supply obviously starts coming down. I imagine there'll be a lot less listings, which will be interesting.
Well, that's it. And we're trying to create a situation where there is a demand, okay, because we've introduced all this utility and incentive to own bulls. But then at the same time, the owners of the evolved or OG bulls, they'll take them off the market so that you'll be, to get into the ecosystem, there will be a premium price, and that's the aim. So
yeah, and one thing to think about here, I was going to just add a few things here, is like, The interesting thing about the Evolved Bulls is there was a whole lot of time and thought that went into, what does it take to create something, an image that will serve so well as a PFP, as a profile picture. Because after that first iteration with the original Bulls, there was a lot of feedback and so on, and there's like thousands of people here giving feedback about, things that might keep them from using it as a profile picture. And so in all this, really, sort of at the heart of it is about profile pictures. And then we're moving into this new age where you're also adding all this sort of like engineering firepower behind these NFTs and giving them utility and stuff like that. And so this project is meant to be both. It's not just about, it's utility, which there's a ton of that we're trying to build out around it, but it also is just a superior, like an improved version of the artwork that would actually work better as a PFP and just increases the chances that you'll start seeing bulls all over the place. And that's really what this is. Same thing with the apes, is trying to create like this whole concept of, social cohesion, or like a social club.
Have you ever seen a PFP that looks as good as these? Like I just think that the quality of the artwork is so good that, and especially for a generative piece, like there's going to be 10,000 pieces like this. Like that's just incredible artwork right there. So
it is, yeah.
As far as the PFP goes, I think we've covered that with the Evolved, and obviously, we're trying to bring in the rest of the utility in other ways that will attract other investors or people to buy into the project. So yeah, we're pretty confident with what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, as you should be. It's looking great. I'm super excited to see what else comes in the future. We've got a question here from Ty, and just quickly, if anybody here does have any questions for Zorph or Cifer, please do chuck them in the comments because we will get around to them. But Ty said, can you give any more information on the bullpen or the launch pad? I think that's for you, Zorph.
Yeah, sure. So the bullpen is, whenever I came into this, and me and Cifer had that talk, we just kind of like, I just decided to throw in as much sort of engineering firepower as I could. I've got a small team that I work with, which, includes a few that I've worked with for over 10 years, including my wife. She's a front-end engineer and does a lot of front-end stuff. She's actually the one that built the new, this beautiful website we're looking at. That was built by my wife. She's a very good front-end developer, has been worked for a lot of big companies. And she turns these things around quick, and she also does front-end, just a bunch of stuff. And so I lost my train of thought there. What was the question again?
Can you give any more information on the bullpen or the launch?
Oh yeah.
pad?
So what it is the website that was there before we kind of made this crazy sort of big, just rise from the ashes thing. It still had roadmap and information back from sort of like pre-mint. And so we just decided we needed a new, website, roadmap. All kinds of stuff. And so basically we built that, and then we're also building a members only section. And the reason we went with the bullpen is because in Discord, once you verify that you actually own bulls, you have access to a few additional channels in there, but mainly the bullpen, where sort of like members only chat happens. And so we're sort of creating a web app as well as a mobile app, which you'll hear about that here soon. And it's called the bullpen. And this is just a way that people can, because there's a lot of useful information that you can sort of surface through your custom web app or mobile app that might not be available as easily on OpenSea, like Rarity, or if I want to find the matching sort of ID for a bull I have, or see my pairs together and things like that. And so we're just trying to build a members only app out that makes it easier for people to manage, all the bulls on the block collections, including bulls on the block, bears on the block, evolved bulls on the block, and whatever else we might come up with. Eventually.
Did you just say evolved bears on the block?
I may have. I think I meant to say evolved bulls.
Okay.
Evolved. Right. No, I didn't say evolved bears on the block. I said evolved bulls on the block. But yeah. So that's the idea. Is the bullpen will, first and foremost, it'll launch on the 15th, and it's where you will go to evolve your original bull into a evolved bull. And it also is where you will, potentially on the 15th, we're still trying to nail that date down, but if not, very soon thereafter, you'll be able to stake your evolved bull. And then otherwise do some basic sort of portfolio navigation and kind of see things around your portfolio there and see what's in the vault and so on. And that's really the initial iteration of the bullpen, but we will be adding a whole lot more features after that. But that's the MVP.
Cool. Ty corrected himself. He meant he wanted to hear a bit about the accelerator.
Okay. So yeah, sure. So let me throw that out there a little bit.
The accelerator is.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
It's going to be huge. I mean, this is an idea that Zorph brought to the table, and I think that as we move forward in the NFT space, if we take a step back and look at it as a whole, we're going to find that, at the moment, the market's becoming potentially saturated with all of these generative projects that are launching, on a daily basis. And so we have thought, well, what can we do to bring a lot of these communities together? Because there's a lot of strong communities that love their own projects. What can we do to bring these communities together and give more value to those communities as a whole? Because we're all in this together, right? Like where we're at right now, we're just at the beginning. We have 150 to 200,000 ETH wallets that are actually invested in NFTs. And so we're all just one community. And then what can we do to bring mainstream in? Like, do we need to create like a hub where new projects can launch from or whatnot? And, this is kind of the Accelerator program is one of Zorph's babies. And I'll probably let him give you a bit more detail about what he's thinking about doing or we're thinking about doing.
Yeah, I don't mind discussing things that I'm doing. I mean, I'm heavily involved on the Bulls on the Block, but for a long time now, I've been working on a software platform called WinMint, which actually launches, very likely tomorrow. And basically, it's just a project that takes all of the engineering out of launching a generative collection, and eventually allows you to launch those collections across various chains. And then there's a lot of functionality that will be added eventually later. But the idea is that, without getting too deep into it, that the whole process of launching a collection is not rocket science on the engineering side. I mean, it's just a bunch of the same sort of stuff over and over again. But there's a lot of artists in the world that really truly, I'm partnered up with some people in other countries that are trying to sort of bring more awareness to artists in these other areas of the world by helping them launch collections and so on. And so if you can just take all the engineering out of the equation and make it very easy for artists and sort of, founding teams to focus on community building and artwork and other sort of, things they want to sort of add into the token in terms of utility and not on the engineering. And so we're building a launch pad that includes a platform that makes it really easy to essentially launch these projects and just everything from the generation to the contract deployment to the managing the reveal securely without metadata leaks and all kinds of stuff. And then we're also putting together a community of other partners that will essentially, they will essentially decide. So they're not guaranteed. Every project that comes through and actually, uses the platform for launching their sort of smart contract stuff are not guaranteed admission into this network of other communities. But yeah, so we've kind of partnered up where, I'm helping the Bulls with a lot of stuff. Obviously, I'm just a community member. I'm not an owner or anything, but I'm working, basically building out a bunch of sort of minting infrastructure, and there's like a collaboration going on there around that. So, and there's other.
Yeah, so you'll see like a lot of. I think the idea is that a lot of these projects may come together in some kind of way, and in order to push forward and push the whole industry forward, and that's kind of one of our bigger visions at Bulls on the Block. And obviously, we're working on a platform to do that. So yeah, it should be interesting.
Very exciting. So would that work similarly to art blocks, do you imagine, where they're all listed under one sort of name, or would each project get their own listing on OpenSeas?
Yeah, it's a full deployment of their contract, and it's like, every project that launches is a legitimate collection on OpenSea. They have their own contract deployed, they have their own metadata API deployed until sellout, because we use an API to secure the metadata until sellout, and then we have another process for moving the metadata to IPFS and repoint the contract to that. But it's everything from the art generation to the to the deployment of your test contract on Rinkeby, deployment to mainnet, management of the reveal. Everything is that's the technology side of it. And then if you can convince these partners that you're worthy, then you can also sort of make it into this sort of co-promotion network where other NFT communities, like Cifer was saying, are all collaborating together, co-promoting each other, as well as helping launch new sort of really high quality projects in the space. And so, yeah, and that's what we're doing. We're building a top to bottom,
Yeah, and look, as far as our accelerator goes, we've had a number of potential projects come and apply to be part of our accelerator already, within the last week. And so what we need to do is a little bit of quality control, because we want the best projects to be, we want to showcase the best projects through our accelerator program, so that members of Bulls on the Block or other affiliates can actually get in on these good projects, instead of just launching, every project that's available. We'll go through like a selection process, and we'll have, judging panel and whatnot to kind of put forward what they think about if these potential projects are suitable to launch on our platform. So yeah, it should be interesting.
Awesome. We've got another one from Brian here, but I think we might have covered it before, talking about the undesirable traits and attributes. But he says, can you provide any more information on which undesirable traits will be discarded and how that will be replaced with the evolved bulls?
That's a Cifer question.
Is this a big one in the community?
Yeah, it's been an ongoing question that rears its head pretty regularly within the community, and of course, so one of the more undesirable traits is the blonde hair that we have on one of our bulls, but that'll be removed and that'll be replaced with something that's how can I say this, a little bit more hot. And that'll make sense once it comes to fruition. But cool. And then again, it's just to reiterate, like a lot of the chains, or maybe possibly the earrings, they're just adding extra noise into the actual profile pic. So for example, if you have a look at the evolved bulls on screen there, you notice how clean they are. And that's something that people will generally want to display more as a profile pic, because when you put it into that little image as a PFP, you want to be able to recognize exactly what it is, and you want some kind of status. So we've taken that into account, and a lot of the busier attributes, I suppose, may be removed, and obviously there was a lot of species specific attributes as well, or traits, and they may evolve into something different. So I can't give too many specifics, but you'll see when we launch evolved bulls on the 15th. So
cool. Well, there you go. I think that looks like all of our questions. Is there anything else that you guys want to share with the community? Maybe did you want to touch on the DAO at all? I know we've sort of set the target a little bit, or maybe I said it, to get to the biggest DAO in the NFT space.
Yeah, let me hop in on the DAO a little bit here, and then I'll turn it over to you, Cifer. So I think this whole notion of having a community wallet and even the DAO concept is definitely not something. And I think that there's been a much harder push for it ever since this kind of transition that just happened. But they were already thinking about this before. I mean, as early back as even when they first created the community wallet. And so, but in that new light paper that we just put out, you'll see, we kind of got a new plan in place, technology plan, where eventually, not, obviously taking our time getting there, the goal is to connect the snapshot portal up to we use Gnosis Safe for the wallet in such a way that essentially the community, after we have enough sort of policies in place to kind of prevent just insane proposals from passing, that the community itself will vote, and each vote counts as a signature, and they're able to fully authorize withdrawals on the community wallet. It's the community money, and so we're getting to a point where we have the snapshot portal up now. We're kind of starting to working through and kind of exercising the community and learning how to vote and kind of discuss things and so on, which is interesting. And the wallet is not connected yet, but it will be here soon. And we're just trying to get to a point where we have, essentially a truly DAO driven wallet, where the primary, sort of thing, is that the community can actually on its own can authorize withdrawals for whatever, and then secondly, it's also, there's a lot of other proposals that we'll be voting on that do not result in an on-chain transaction. It's just for more around, achieving community consensus and so on. And, but yeah, it's been working well, man. We've been
Yeah, and obviously, you know, the DAOs are a thing that is popular in the space at the moment, and you know, we're at the forefront of that, and our actual DAO membership is near enough 500 members, which is one of the biggest in the space, you know. So we've got a lot of uptake, and a lot of the community members are actually very invested in getting their opinions heard. Obviously, there's a few differences. There's a couple of different terminologies of DAOs. Like you've got your legal DAO, which actually, so you've got your legal DAO, which is represents ownership of the actual project, which is not what we have at the moment. We have a technical DAO, which provides a base for people to go and vote and have their opinions heard, and you know, so the way that we've got it set up at the moment is that people that own over 50 bulls are able to submit a proposal, you know, that is hopefully something that can lead the project forward, and then we leave it to the community to vote. There'll be a time frame on it, and people will come in and they'll vote, and then there'll be a consensus. You know, and that depends on what the quorum is, and also, you know, if you get over the 50% of votes, and that can obviously differ depending on what the proposal is. So, we've launched that around about a week ago, and we've had around 3 proposals that have passed so far, and one that's not necessarily going to pass, but again, that's in discussion. So it's all community based, and it's all just kind of topics of conversation between the community. So, and that's the beauty of having a DAO, and because we kind of pride ourselves on running a community based project, it is very important to what we're doing. You know, and essentially we want to have about, you know, over 5,000 unique holders of bulls at one point, so that we have a good, you know, we've got a broad kind of snapshot of what people are thinking when we make decisions moving forward. Obviously, the whole project isn't run on a flat level where it's just community decided. You do, what we've seen in the past is that you do need some form of hierarchy, and that's why we're putting in place a team. But then we will put out these proposals to the community, and the community can vote it up or vote it down. So yeah, it's a really interesting spot that we're in, and at the end of the day, well, the community they do kind of have a big say in where the project kind of runs. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, awesome. I was actually very impressed with the application or the site that you're using for the DAO. Is very like clean. It's, well, I haven't used a DAO before, and when I thought of it, it sounds a bit technical. It sounds a bit clunky.
Yeah. When you think of DAO, it's like, oh, what's DAO? And I have a lot of people coming to me and saying, oh, DAO, is that like on the stock market? Is that like Dow Jones? And no, it's a so DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. It's just like a new form of governance, and I think that as we move forward, and especially with the situation that the world's in at the moment, we'll see that DAOs actually govern the way that a lot of people live their lives. They don't know it yet, but that's coming, and we're just at the first iteration of that. So there's a lot of testing going on within the scene, and a lot of people that are from the, you know, crypto community themselves, they'll be more familiar with DAOs, but to the layman, a DAO is a completely new concept, and you know, that might be a topic for another day where we can kind of talk about what is a DAO, but essentially it's giving some form of governance to the community and popular vote, and it's like a true democracy in a sense, depending on how it's how you run the DAO. So yeah.
Let me give, and I know we're on limit on time. Let me give about a 120-second sort of rundown of you know what is that question? What is a DAO from the perspective of an engineer? And so I think that this whole concept of a decentralized autonomous organization, you know, goes back to the early days of Ethereum when they obviously created, you know, a DAO. And I don't think that's like the first time we've thought about this, but the whole idea is, you know, I mean, smart contracts, which is, you know, capable of essentially automatically executing financial transactions based on conditions or logic or whatever. You know, this is kind of a new programming paradigm. And so, like there's a whole lot of different money transactions that take place in order for a business to run sense, whether it's running payroll or it's paying, vendors for things or whatever it is, or dispersing budget to teams so that further disperse it to their workers. And so a lot of these financial, in a perfect utopian future where we've really achieved DAO, like say we really get there, right? We're not there yet. We're a damn long way from there. Then you might have like a fully digital business where, at all levels, there's really just consensus constantly being collected, and especially about payments that need to be made to various parts of the business or to partners, external, whatever. And you'd have a system of where you're able to collect consensus and even allow for consensus to authorize transactions for payments in like a fully digital autonomous kind of business that does not really require potentially even maybe hierarchy. I mean, it might be a bunch of little pockets, like different teams working all over the world on different things, and there's no like head of the snake kind of thing. It's just fully distributed out, and so with voting mechanisms and sort of automated.
Yeah, and you'll see the point where we come to, which are some things that are being like implemented at the moment, where you'll have certain cryptos where they may actually own, say, an island, for example, and then the governance on the island would actually be decided by a DAO. You'd put your votes in on what we're going to do. Are we going to allow people to come and holiday here, or are you able to rent this space of land or sell, or all these sorts of things? So it's really just we're just at the beginning, and this thing can go.
Yep.
It could go anywhere. Like we don't know, and this is just a little, like we said, it's just a little snapshot of the things that come on the way that society is probably going to end up working, and as we move into a digital economy and digital way of doing things. So, and you think about why are NFTs so popular at the moment, and it's possibly because they're acting as a entry point to mainstream society to get into this digital economy that is about to evolve, considering what's happened in the world in the past couple of years. So a lot of things are coming, and I think that all of us, talking here, although we're caught up in what we do and we think that this is just, everyday business, to the person on the outside, this is a completely new concept. But at some point in time, everybody will be involved in the digital economy and the fourth industrial revolution, which is going to happen, in my opinion.
Let me say one more quick thing about DAOs. Yeah. So one more quick thing about the DAOs. So everything I was explaining a second ago in terms of like an organization that is a lot of which can sort of like be orchestrated, through smart contracts. That's kind of like the perspective. That's what we're talking about with the technical DAO. And then of course you have all the lawyers now running all around the world trying to figure out, what does it mean in terms of like the law? What is a legal DAO? And it's kind of funny because smart contracts in some ways are eventually meant to replace these old sort of antiquated kind of typed out on paper type contracts, but still there's a whole sort of area of law developing around DAOs that's so you hear the word DAO a lot, and some people might say we have a DAO, but it's really not a legal DAO. They haven't gone somewhere and chartered a DAO. Or you might have a DAO that is chartered, but they really don't even have any smart contract infrastructure. There's probably plenty of DAOs like that. So right now, when we use the word DAO, we're referring to the technological implementation of connecting a voting portal to a community wallet so that the community can actually authorize withdrawals from that community wallet, which they own, and can also reach consensus pretty quickly around a lot of other things and kind of let leadership know what their opinions are about things. And that's kind of where we are with it right now. Yeah.
Cool. We had a few more questions to shoot through here. Where were we? Brian asked, do we have any marketing plan for the next 10 days in the lead up to the Evolve Bulls?
Yes.
Anything we can share, or are we going to keep people on edge?
Yeah, it's coming. Look, we've got something planned for the next for the week leading up to the Evolve Bulls launch. So we'll definitely try and push out the Evolved Bulls launch as much as possible. And obviously the artwork is what gets, the visual is what gets a lot of eyes on the project, and then people can come and investigate the other things that we're building behind the scenes as well. So yeah, look, we'll be covering a marketing push, and that will be happening shortly. So
Crypto Das, he said FYI snapshot for the community wallet. Do you know? He's obviously in the community already. Do you know what he's referring to?
Snapshot for the community wallet. He's just, I mean, I don't know if he asked a question or just made a comment or what is it?
I think it was a statement, but
he's given us an FYI.
Oh, he's probably just letting people know that we're talking about it. But yeah, we're, the goal, the eventual goal is, I mean, you just got to get there and kind of, make sure that you're comfortable. This is kind of, I mean, when you're amassing a ton of Ethereum or money or whatever, and you just turn it over to a democratic process, obviously you have to have the right processes in place to make sure it didn't just go poof and just disappear. So, but we're getting there, and the whole goal is to use, like I said, Snapshot, Gnosis Safe, and what's called Safe Snap. I'm pretty sure, Safe Snap, and it's Safe Snap, and it's like a little connector that connects, Snapshot to Gnosis Safe in such a way where actual votes can be signatures, and you can automatically withdraw like money based on community consensus, subject to these sort of policies that we put in place to like the minimum number of bulls required to make a proposal, the minimum number of total votes required to achieve a quorum, and just all these other rules. And as long as all these rules are met, then the community can do what it wants. But there'll be lots of protections on it to make sure it doesn't just disappear, and then otherwise we have other wallets that we operate sort of like the team and everything else out of, but this is community funds, and
awesome. And Cifer, you mentioned the fourth industrial revolution before, and our guy B-Dub here, he's into all that sort of stuff. He questioned you, do you think that's going to be AI and robots? What does that look like?
I mean, is it not already AI? Your thoughts not already controlled by AI? No, I'm asking the question myself, but yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's just the fourth industrial revolution is basically that we're moving from an age where menial skills and whatnot aren't valued, or that they don't contribute as much as what they once did, and now we're moving into this technological age, which we've already seen, for the past 10 to 20 years, and the more physical labor and whatnot, that they won't be required as we move forward, and things are, our thoughts are kind of, I'm not going to go into it because I'll sound too conspiratorial, but it's just that we're moving forward in a technological future. And we've already seen,
until we eventually merge with the machines through brain-machine interface.
Well, I mean, Zorph, you know yourself, because you're actually from the Matrix, so maybe you can give us some insight out of the Matrix.
We won't go on any crazy philosophical journeys on this call, but it's
there's plenty of things we can discuss in another chat. But I mean, the 4IC, it's coming and it's here, and we'll see a big. I think that the main things we'll see is that a big push to the digital economy, and like everything's kind of digital at the moment, but people don't necessarily relate to thinking that way. It's just that we need to change things to go onto the blockchain, and it's immutable and whatnot. But yeah, it's interesting. So those things are happening behind the scenes, and it's worth researching. And I think that's why a lot of the crypto community invests in crypto, because they see that's possibly where the future is. And it's always an educated guess, but the evidence out there, if you look deep enough, you can see what's happening. So
cool. All right, well, I'll leave you with one more question before we go. I'm sure you guys have plenty to do today. Diego said, when party in the metaverse with Pope?
Yeah. I mean, as soon as we've got to finalize a few things. Like we are in discussions with Sandbox at the moment, in terms of buying a plot. So we've just got to work out how much like percentage of the community wallet we can put in towards buying some land on the sandbox, and that's definitely a priority. And then building out like some voxel versions or some 3D versions of our evolved bulls, most likely. Similar to maybe something like what Kongs are doing, and then integrating into the metaverse, and it's going to be interesting. And then when we do it, we'll have a party. Yeah, sure, why not?
Wicked. All right, guys. Well, unless there's anything that you guys wanted to cover before we jump off, we might wrap it up.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you having us on, man.
Yeah, appreciate your time and for getting us on, and giving everybody a bit of an idea of what we're doing at Bulls on the Block. And as you can see, like the artwork, that's the centerpiece, but we're building behind the scenes. So yeah, and feel free to come and join our Discord if you guys have any other questions, and there's a great community in there. So we can fill you in.
Yeah, perfect. For anyone who's joining us from Cryptowriter, I'll pop all of the relevant links in our chat so you guys can easily just jump around, have a look on OpenSeas, suss the project out a bit more if you like. And if you've got any questions, you can just DM me. And thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate your time today. It's been fun, insightful.
We appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Hollywood. Cheers.
Peace.